Yes, so I'm Adeline Makokha. I did BSc, that is Bachelor in Telecommunication and Information Technology here in Kenya. Currently working at Safaricom as a software quality engineer. Previously, I've done 2 AWS certificates. The foundation one, which is AWS Cloud Practitioner and the Solutions Architect. I'm also part of the Global AWS Community Builders program and an co-organizer of the User Group Kenya. That is in line with other 2 user group leaders, Mark and Tony. You can proceed to the next slide. So today we are here to learn on leveraging the global AWS global infrastructure. I did it's a high level PPT just to take you through what AWS global infrastructure is designed to help the organizations and the company. So whether you're working as a, let's say as a global enterprise or as a newly launched startup or either a government entity, AWS offers the most extensive, the most secure and reliable global infrastructure that you can utilize and leverage on while hosting or building your application. So you can join the millions of active customers who run most of the important application on AWS just to leverage the platform. So the application basically the application is deployed in multiple geographies. That includes the regions or the edge locations. And the main purpose for this is to reduce latency, like to have low latency that is like in milliseconds. And also as this is by deploying application closer to your users as compared to other regions, and also to disaster recovery mechanism, whereby in case of, let's say, floods or earthquakes on certain data centers, the failover mechanism can work where to transition your applications or your data to another region that is not affected. The global application also provide you a platform that can protect you from attacks, from the cyber attacks, and it's kind of harder for hackers to attack the entire application globally. So it gives you a platform where you can secure your application. Next. Yes, so the importance, whether you have like, let's say, you can go to the next slide. Whether you have the AWS global and first, I mean, whether you have the however huge amount of workload or any size of your data, and you like to host on AWS global infrastructure is the best use case. This is because it gives you the high availability when you deploy the availability zones in different availability zones. It also gives you high performance, security to ensure that your data is encrypted end to end and low latency, and also flexibility on wherever you need your data to be. So from the picture, as you can see, we have some regions like North Virginia, Toronto, we have Oregon that are mostly used. We have Tokyo, Yes, we have also Mumbai and many more. Can proceed on to the next slide. So the benefits of AWS global infrastructure. First, it offers a high availability whereby your data is highly available whenever you need it. And it also helpful when it comes to mission critical applications. High performance in a way that is also cost effective to our customers, and scalable. Your workload, you're able to, depending on your workload, you're able to scale, that is to scale up and down, and also to scale horizontally. It gives you a platform to make your application secured. It comes with the DDoS protection, that is you can integrate AWS Shield and also the WAF, AWS WAF, so that you can protect your data, you can protect your application. The global presence, whereby you can run and build application across any geographical location that has the AWS presence. And definitely the flexibility part of it. As you run your application, you can run your application whenever you need them, and also the latency whereby you can deploy the application closer to the users just to reduce the latency. So we proceed to the components of AWS global infrastructure. We'll start with the main one. We have the AZs, which are the availability zones. We have the regions, the edge locations, regional edge cache, and so to start with regions. So region basically is a geographical area, and it can consist of 3 or more availability zones. So regions are designed to be completely isolated from each other in the Amazon regions. So you find that AWS regions has multiple AZs, and the AZs they do have data centers. And also you can replicate your data within the regions or between regions using either the public or private internet connections. So from the diagram, as you can see, this is the whole of this is AWS region. So we have, let's say, availability zone 1, availability zone 2, and availability zone 3 makes up the whole region. So it can be like Oregon region, or let's say US East or North Virginia region, but there are also different AZs in that same region. And also for the multiple regions, you can connect different virtual private networks together, virtual private clouds together. And availability zones. So availability zones are physically separated and also isolated from each other. So the availability zones contains the data centers, and two or more data centers make up the availability zones, and then 2 or more AZs make up now a whole region. So AZs definitely, they have the advantage of low latency, high throughput, redundancy, network connection to each other, and also they're designed in such a way that they are independent failure zone. So if you have, let's say, the Amazon AZ, like AZ1, availability zone 1 has a fail, our Amazon availability zone 2, then it will pick up. So it's designed in such a way that it's independent, it doesn't depend on each other. So when one fails, the other one can still stand, and you can also route your traffic to the one that has not failed. On to the next slide. So this is the continuation of the components of AWS global infrastructure. So we have edge locations, is the point presence of content delivery network endpoints for the cloud front. This will be significant when it comes to the demo part, able to understand how this comes in place. And there are also more edge locations than region. They are currently about to 16, not sure. And for the regional edge caches, it sits between the CloudFront origin servers and the edge location. For the CloudFront origins, we have like either S3 or any HTTP, and also the AWS sites deployed. It's mainly in major cities where it is highly populated. For AWS local zones, local zone is mainly for ultra low latency application. And this can be, let's say, if you want live videos for the guys who are fan for Netflix. So so for the local zone, this is whereby it provides a place for compute, storage, databases, and anything AWS services closer to the end users. I think we have one here in Kenya, a local zone. Yes, and mainly is it's highly demanding application that requires single-digit milliseconds latencies. So the latencies is like super low. And also to extend with the AWS local zone, we have other services that can use like the Amazon Elastic Compute Service, that is the EC2. We have Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, the VPCs, and the Amazon Elastic Cloud Block for the storage, Amazon Files Storage also, and the load balancing, which is a proximity to the end users. For AWS Outposts, so this is when you want to run some of the AWS services, so they can come set up their data center on your on-prem data center. So this is on your on-prem data center. So this is more of a hybrid cloud architecture, whereby you have the AWS data centers within your own on-prem data centers. So it's more of a hybrid. For the AWS wavelength zones, it's similar to local zone, but for this case, we are using 5G devices. 5G is now with us, and we should embrace it. So we are trying to minimize the low latency for the streaming services, online streaming. You can proceed to the next slide. Another type of AWS global infrastructure is S3 transfer acceleration. So for S3 transfer acceleration is a feature of S3 that is not enabled by default. You have to enable it, and it also comes with the additional cost. So this enables you to accelerate the global uploads and downloads into S3, and it also increases the speed of transferring files, that is from one edge locations, and then it moves the data into, or the files into S3 in a different region of the region that you are targeting to move the data. So we also have AWS Global Accelerator. It's for global purposes, and it improves the application availability and also the high performance at a global network. So this is like a keynote that you're supposed to put in mind. You might be asked in an exam, especially for the guys who are preparing for the cloud practitioner exam. So we have the differences between the AWS Global Accelerator and the CloudFront. I will cover the CloudFront in the next slides, in the coming slides. So for CloudFront, it's a content network delivery, and basically it improves the performance of your cacheable data, that is the images and the videos. And so what you need to understand is CloudFront does the caching part of it, but for the global accelerator, there is no caching, but it only improves the performance in a wide range of applications over the TCP, that is the layer, the transport network layer, the transport layers. And it also uses the static API. Yes, can go on. While the CloudFront, it uses the dynamic. So we can proceed to Amazon Route 53. Route 53 is managed by AWS, and it's global for the domain name service. So we have a number of records whereby you can map your Route 53. Like for instance, you can also find this in your exams. We have an A record whereby you can map, let's say, www.google.com to your IP version form. You have a quadruple A record whereby you can map the www.google.com to a IP version 6. A synonym is whereby you are mapping a host name to another host name, like mapping a Google search to the main Google domain. Alias is a record is whereby you map a host name to an AWS resources. Hereby it can be, let's say, an S3 or a CloudFront or etc. So definitely the main purpose of Route 53 is to route users closest deployment with the least latency, and it's also a strategy for disaster recovery. Can proceed on to the next slide. So examples of the main Route 53 that we have a simple routing policies. So the simple routing policies is direct. As you can see from the diagram, we don't have the health checks, and it's direct whereby you can send a request to the S3, to the Route 53, and then it gives you the specific IP address. For the weighted route policy, for this case, it involves health checks. And so when let's say one of the instances is unhealthy, it can route traffic across multiple EC2s depending on the weight. So from the diagram, you can see we have one routed as 70%, the other one as 20%, and the last one as 10% of the weight on whatever is being routed to our instances. So for latency routing policy, this definitely minimize the on latency's perspective, whereby it connects users and the servers, making the connections too close to the users, just to reduce or to decrease the latency. We also have a failover routing policy. For this case is mainly for as a disaster recovery. And let's say if the secondary instance fails, definitely there's a, or let's say that if the primary, it involves a health check, and if there's issue with the primary instance, it fail over to the secondary instance. So that's how Route 53 works. I can proceed on to the next slide. So AWS CloudFront, this is also is the same, is part of the AWS global infrastructure, and it's a content delivery network. And basically it involves caching of data. So it's built in such a way that it provides high performance and security and low latency, because the data is locally cached near the users. So for our case, it improves the readability performance since the content is cached at the edge, and you realize that the content is super closer to the users, thus reducing the low latency. You can also protect your application, whatever you are built, by enforcing or integrating with the AWS Shield or the AWS Web Application Firewall. So for our case, this replicates as a part of the application to the AWS edge location. So edge location, basically they are AWS sites deployed in major cities or highly populated areas. And a regional edge cache, AWS sites location between the CloudFront origin servers and edge locations. You can proceed to the next slide. So for the regional edge cache, has the largest cache, and with it of each individual edge locations. So here are some of the AWS CloudFront origins. So we have like S3 as an origin, or HTTP, which is being customized. So for S3, it can help with uploading of files to S3 bucket, and also distributing of the files and caching them to the edge, and also enhancing the security of CloudFront origin access control. For the customized origin, that is HTTP, we have application load balancer, EC2, S3 static website, or any HTTP backend. So from the diagram, as you can see, we have the end user who views the request that is being sent to the origin server. Here, the origin server can be, let's say, HTTP or S3. So when the end user requests the, let's say, data from S3 or a file from S3, there's that origin response that comes back through the CloudFront cache, and the user sees the response. So if the end users again send the same request, you realize that it won't go to the S3 or to the HTTP. It will take the request that is being cached at the cloud front or the local cached. Yeah, so that's we can proceed. So the difference, this is also something that you should note, differences between CloudFront and S3 cross-region replication. So for the CloudFront is a global edge network, as we have seen. The files are cached, so there is caching of files or data, and also it's mainly used for the static content. You can host your S3, let's say your application or your static website on S3, then you cache it using the CloudFront. For S3 cross-region replication, so this doesn't happen to like the way it's global for CloudFront. For our case, with S3 cross-region replication, it's mainly for, so you are supposed like to set up for each region that you want the replication to occur, and the files are updated like in near real time. For CloudFront, you have the ability to write and read, but for the cross-region replication replica, you only have the read-only. And definitely it is also used for dynamic content, while for the CloudFront is mostly for the static, something that doesn't change. For cross-region replica is mainly for dynamic, where we have the content can change at the lowest latency in the regions. Can proceed to the next slide. Okay, so from here onwards, so I'll invite Bornface to take us through the demo. For our demo, we'll be working on CloudFront, so we'll explain more on how to go about that. In case you have any questions, you can put it on chat. I'll be responding as he works on the demo. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you so much, Adeline. Hope everyone is okay. So my name is Bornface Otieno. Currently, I'm working as a software engineer and test at Safaricom. Apart from that, I'm 3 times AWS certified. That's the cloud practitioner, solution architect, associate, and also developer associate. I'm also AWS community builder, and yes, we are here to build a community. So for this demo, I'll do a short demo where we'll be serving our S3 content through CloudFront distribution. Just avail it. So I can begin by explaining the scenario above. So let's say you're having an edge location. Edge locations, those are the edge locations around the world connecting to your origin, which could be S3 or HTTP, or even your instances or any backend HTTP. So when a client connects and does an HTTP request to your edge location, then the edge location checks whether it's cached. And if not cached, it will go to the origin and get the request results. So once it retrieves results from the origin, the data is cached so that when another user does the request, the request doesn't go to the origin again. So basically, that's what is on this diagram. So recording in progress. Sorry, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, just a minute. So allow me to log into the AWS console so that I can do hands-on. So for the demo, we'll begin by creating an S3 bucket where we lost our static website there. So I know previously you've done something on S3 and you've hosted a static website on S3. So normally, I know when you did it, you gave it public access, but it's normally not a good recommendation. It's quite recommended that you deliver that content via content delivery network. That's the CloudFront that AWS provides. So I'm just going to create a bucket.
Hi,
So we can, hello.
have you shared the screen?
Yes. You can see my screen?
Cynthia, you can confirm. Maybe it's on my screen.
I can see it as well.
Okay, just a minute. What about now?
Yeah, now you can see it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we're just going to create a bucket where we lost our static website. So we can give it any name. So I'll just give it demo www.demo site. Then we'll allow for public access and acknowledge. So you can always enable versioning if you don't want to lose your data. So versioning helps you retrieve the previous data. So for this demo, I want to enable versioning. Then I'm going to create a bucket. So once the bucket is created, I'm going to add my site content to the bucket. Okay, let me just upload my files. So I've uploaded my website to the bucket. So let's give it some time. So you can normally use S3 to host your static website. Basically, a static website is a website that does fetch from the bucket, or you can use this to store your images or video files. So let's just give it some time. So when that happens, Brian had asked a question. What's regional edge cache? So Brian, regional edge cache is basically a CloudFront location that is deployed globally to closest to your users or the users that need to access your content. So our content has been uploaded successfully. So we'll just go to the bucket properties so that we enable static website hosting. So just call. So by default, it's normally disabled, so we'll enable it. Then we can have our index.html. That's our main page. And also, if you're having a custom error page, you can include it. So for the demo purposes, I'd included one. So I'll just add the path to the file. Then on the permissions, we need to grant a policy that will enable public users to access our bucket. So we'll just add a bucket policy. So I think I have one. Let me just copy paste it. So basically what this policy does, it allows the public to access all objects in our bucket. Let's save. Then you can try accessing our bucket using the bucket website endpoint to see if it's publicly accessible. Yeah, so we've successfully hosted our static website on S3. So now we want to serve this content via CloudFront. So just on the same console, I'll come and search for CloudFront. So it's load. So I'll just come and create a distribution. So we can give. So remember when Adeline was explaining, he shared about the origins. So we have, it can be S3. So for our case, it will be S3, or it can come before an API gateway or a container. So for this scenario, we'll use our S3 bucket that we just created. Then the rest will leave as default. So here we'll use, you can leave it at public, but we'll use legacy access identity. That's the origin access identity. So basically for origin access identity, what it does is basically, it secures S3 origins by allowing access to only the designated distribution. So for our case, it will be the CloudFront. So we'll select our S3.
Viva. Señor Viva, ¿ah? Vamos a ver.
It will be automatically saved. Then we'll update the bucket policy so that CloudFront can access our S3 content. So the rest will leave as it is. So for this case, we won't be using the web application firewalls. But of course, this one can help you with the DDoS attacks. Then for our root, it will be the index, our main page index.html. Let's see if I've left anything out. Yeah, then we can create the distribution. Normally, it can take some time from 5 to 15 minutes. So we can give it some time to deploy. So as it deploys, just on an overview of the CloudFront. So we have the origins. So for our demo, we are using S3, but if it could be anything else like the HTTP server, you should be able to see your origin type. Then we have the behaviors. So we are caching, managed caching, optimized. Then error page. In case you are having error, you want to have custom error pages, you can just create a custom one. So when a user does a request that does not exist, you'll get the custom error message that you've provided. Then you have the geo restriction. So for geo restrictions, it helps you with the DDoS attacks. So it can help you block traffic from a specific region, maybe a country or a specific, it's Somalia country. So you can block traffic coming from a specific country. Yeah. So let's just see if it's done deploying. Is there any question? Anyone with a question as it deploys?
Hi, Bornface. I think there's a question in the chat. Look at it.
Which one? I think it's already answered.
There's one again by Brian. He's asking, does this mean a person using VPN from another country won't be able to access it?
Okay, Brian, if you use a VPN, of course, you'll be able to access it because now it's not the VPN. I think does change the IP, so of course you'll access it using VPN. Yeah. Okay, so our content has been deployed. So let's just see if we can access it. I'll just copy the distribution domain name and try to access our website. Yeah, so now we are successfully serving our S3 content via the CloudFront. So if you need your users to access your content stored in S3, you can normally share this link so that they access the content via CloudFront. So I can just share this link on the chat. Then maybe we'll do a demo on geo restriction. So let's say, for instance, you notice the DDoS attack and it's coming from a specific country. You can always come here and block that specific country, block traffic from that specific country. So we're just going to do that. So let's say we don't want people from Rwanda to access our site or our content. So I can just select that and save the changes. So we have allowed instead of blocking. So again, I need to take some time to deploy. But once it's deployed, Cynthia, you should try to access the link. I know you should not be able to access this. You're trying to restrict traffic from your country.
Yeah, I can see the error that the request couldn't be satisfied.
Okay. I can see Grace is asking what's the use of OAI. So OAI secures S3 origin by allowing access to only designated distributions. So I think that's it from me. So we've successfully created a S3 bucket and used it for static website hosting. Then we created a CloudFront distribution and configured it to use your S3 bucket as the origin. Then we tested if we can access the static website using our CloudFront distribution. Yeah, so I think I'll stop there and maybe pick up a question from the team.
Thank you so much, Bornface and Adeline. This was really insightful. In the meantime, while we're waiting for any questions, we can be doing the Kahoot. So for people who just joined for the first time, we usually do like a Kahoot of 20 questions. The questions include mostly the ones that was covered today, and also some that were covered in the past sessions. But yeah, I promise this is going to be fun. So let me share my screen and then we can start. And if you have any question on the Kahoot, please just write it in the chat and then we'll cover it after the Kahoot. Okay. So I hope you can all see my screen. So let's start. Okay, that's good. Okay, I'm going to share the link now. Yes, so share the link. If just use Kahoot for the first time, just click on that link and then you enter your name and then you can start playing. Okay, George rushed in. I believe that's how they pronounce that name. Okay, Hillary.
Good morning, all.
Hi, Hillary. Okay, reach Steve, player one. Okay, Kim, Isaac. Okay, that's nice. Grace. Okay, should we start? Or is someone who's having trouble joining? Okay, so the link, let me share it again. So here's the link. Okay, okay. I'm going to start. 1, 2, 3. Let's start. So this is the practice 10. And the first question, which route 53 routing policies would you use to route traffic to multiple resources in proportion that you specify? Okay, great. Okay, I see many people got it right. So it's the weighted routing policy because the question was saying they want to route to multiple resources in proportions. So yes, it's the weighted routing policy. Okay, we have Jean-Eric on the top. The next one, which global infrastructure identity is composed of one or more discrete data centers with redundant power and networking? Great. Yes, I'm happy to see most of the people got it right. So yes, with availability zone, it has like, I guess, 2 or 3 data centers with redundant power, networking, and more. So Okay, Kevin on the top. What are AWS points of presence age restrictions? Great. Okay. Some people chose their AWS regions around the whole world. So they're not AWS regions. Done? Yeah. Okay. Yes. So they help us to deliver content faster with like low latency. So that's why we have like points of presence, which includes age locations. Hi Dan, do you have a question? Okay. Hello. Okay. So Kevin on the top still. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Which service places AWS compute storage database to large population and IT centers where no AWS region exists today? Great, yes. It's good to see most of people got it right. So AWS local zone helps in case an IT center or a large population does not have AWS does not have access to AWS compute storage. So AWS local zone helps to bring them close to those users. Next one. Okay, Kevin and then Eric. Nice. What defines AWS Global Accelerator? Okay, nice. Yes, so it's A and B because with Global Accelerator, you can use it. It's good fit for non-HTTP use cases like gaming or like IoT. And also it uses age location to find an optimal path to the nearest regional endpoint. Compared to CloudFront, it's the opposite. It uses age location to cache content. And also it's good cases for HTTP use cases. So that's like the difference between Global Accelerator and CloudFront. The next one, okay, Kevin on the top still. AWS regions are composed of. Okay, yes. So like AWS regions have like 3 or more availability zones. And then availability zones are the one which has 1 or more discrete data centers. So yes, let's continue. Eric on the top. So which service is optimized to deploy ultra low latency applications to 5G devices? I remember Adeline talking about this. Great, yes. So wavelength helps to deploy ultra low latency applications to 5G devices. Okay, can see gems also coming to the top. You need to enable fast, easy, and secure transfers of files over long distance on S3. Which service would you use? Yes, so S3 transfer acceleration can help you to transfer files like from client to S3 in a faster, easy, and secure way. Next one. Okay, Kevin again at the top. What does AWS CloudFront use to improve read performance? Okay, great. Caching content in edge locations. So yeah, that's the correct one because as I said, AWS CloudFront uses edge locations to cache content. And Bornface talked about this when he was saying when you do a request, it first goes to CloudFront and see if there's any cached content, and then goes to S3 if there is none. So yes. Okay, Kevin on the top. Which service can be used to run AWS infrastructure and services on premises for a hybrid cloud architecture? Okay. Okay. Some people say DMS, but it's Outpost. With Outpost, you can, have all the AWS services on premises and take advantage of them. Okay, even on the top. Which of the following statements is not a reason for a global application? Okay. So the correct answer is scale elastically on demand. With a global application that can't help you to scale. So for scaling, you have to use like the auto scaling groups. But then with having a global application can help you to protect from attacks because it's hard to attack like distributed global applications, and also it's easy for disaster recovery. Like you can route requests to another resource that's available, and also latency is decreased with global applications. So, okay, we have Kevin and then Caspar. I hope that's how they pronounce your name. Which features are available with Route 53? Okay. Okay. I think half of the people got it right. So yes, with Route 53, you get domain registration, you get the domain name system, and then you also get health checks, routing policy. With Route 53, you don't get monitoring, I believe, and also with I guess you don't get this DDoS protection as well. So these are like the main advantages, if I can say, you get from Route 53. So, okay, Russian also is getting to the top. With which services does CloudFront integrate to protect against web attacks? Okay, yes, this is nice. So you get the WAF, and then there's also the Shield Standard and Advanced that you can get from CloudFront to protect your application from attacks. And let's go to the next one. Okay, Kevin on the top still. So you would like to launch Docker containers in AWS without worrying about provisioning or managing any infrastructure. So which service can you use? This was covered in the last session. Okay, yes, I see few people got it right. So it's Fargate, because with Fargate is serverless, so that means you won't have to provision or manage any infrastructure compared to ECS, which is not serverless. So that's why Fargate is the correct one. Okay, Casper on the top. Which of the following statement is incorrect regarding the definition of the term serverless? You don't need to manage servers. Okay. Only one person got it right. So they said they're asking for an incorrect definition regarding serverless. So many people, you find that they think if it's serverless, that means there are no servers, which is not correct. So with serverless, there are servers, but then you don't need to manage them. So AWS take care of that. So that means you don't need to manage. Actually, maybe this was actually the right one. So we made a mistake here. So there are no servers. So this is the incorrect one. And then what is true, that means you don't need to manage servers. And then also serverless allows to deploy function as serverless as a service, and then Lambda is a serverless pioneer. So sorry for that. This is the correct one. And then we have, okay. So a company needs to run thousands of jobs, but would like to not manage the compute resources. What service can it use? Okay, yes, I see half of the people got it right. So mainly when you hear about jobs, most of the time it's batch because it's also serverless. That means you won't manage the compute resources. Okay, Kevin and then Casper second. So where should you store your private Docker images so they can be run by ECS or Fargate? Okay. Yeah. So I believe it's the this one as well. There's a mistake on that as well. So, but the correct answer is the Elastic Container Registry, ECR, which can help to store Docker images that could be used by ECS or Fargates. Okay, Kevin on the top still. And then how do you get charged in AWS Lambda? Okay, so yes, so now this is the correct answer per core and per duration. That's how you get charged with AWS Lambda, and most of the people got it right. Okay, Jean, Eric and James coming to the top. So we're remaining with 2 questions. An organization needs to regularly transfer petabytes of data to the cloud and have access to local computing capacity. Which is the correct one? The correct service to use. Okay, yes. So Snowball Age, as we've learned, is used to transfer petabytes of data. But since now they've added that they need to be access to local computing capacity, so that's why the storage optimized one. The storage optimized, if I'm not wrong, or it should be compute optimized. Yeah, actually, it should be the second one as well. It should be Snowball Age compute optimized, because they say they need to have access to local computing capacity, so it should be compute optimized. So yes, sorry about that. Let's go to the next one. So Kevin on the top, and then let's go to the last one. Amazon S3 is also known as. Okay, this is the easier one. Yes, okay. Happy to see most of people got it right. So Amazon S3 Info is a simple storage service. So let's see the winners. Okay, we have Eric on the 3rd place. And then we have Pascal on the 2nd place. So who is the winner? Kevin. Okay. And then the runners up are James and Rachel. So that's it for the Kahoot. Sorry for some mistakes that were made in selecting the answer. But I hope you enjoyed this and have learned a lot. So I don't know if anyone has some questions before we close this. Anyone with any questions on the Kahoot or the content that was shared by Adeline and Bornface? Okay, no one with a question. Okay, I think Kevin has a question. Maybe Adeline or Bornface can take this. How do you ensure compliance on CloudFront? I don't know if Adeline or Bornface can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Kindly repeat the question.
So like, how do you ensure compliance on CloudFront? So it's in the chat. Maybe you can check it out.
Okay, so to ensure compliance of CloudFront, so basically you have to understand what is involved with the AWS implementation of, let's say, security and access control, monitoring, and also the audit processes of organization regulatory requirement for you to understand how to configure or to comply with the requirements. But we have an organization that does that. Yeah, maybe a Bornface, if you have another angle of this answer.
So I think we can also integrate it with the WAF for security.
Yes, also.
And so you can also enable logging for your CloudFront.
Okay, I think Kevin said thanks. So that means the question was answered. Yes, Isaac, so the slide will be shared. Also, if you're not part of what WhatsApp group, let me share the link so you can join. We usually share the slides there, but also if you go on Meetup, on our Meetup page, and you want to see the slides and recording for any session that took place in the past, you can go to that session, and then in the comment section, you'll find the slides and then the recording, and this one also will be added there. So here's the WhatsApp group. If you haven't joined, you can. Okay, so I think if no any other question, we can end.
I can also share for the user group Kenya.
Yes.
So I have the Meetup page. So I've shared, you can proceed from there.
Okay. Thank you for those who are not part of the AWS user group Nairobi. You can check the link that Adeline sent and then join the group to get updated if they have any sessions. So otherwise, thank you so much all for joining. Thank you, Adeline and Bornface, for an insightful session. I've learned a lot, and I hope anyone who's listening also learned a lot. For those who don't know, we're having weekly challenges that are shared in the WhatsApp group. And for last week challenge, the winner is Hillary. I don't know if Hillary is on the call. Okay, I guess he left. Yes, so Hillary is the one who won the last challenge, which was about EC2, and he'll get like a $25 voucher that he can use to access any AWS service. So, and we encourage anyone also who's trying to get certified for the cloud practitioner to try and do those challenges. If you're just joining now, you're not, you can still do the challenges. We have like a document that we share and you can find all the challenges there. And we use CloudQuest for the challenges. So the other challenge will also be announced today. So keep an eye on that. And otherwise, thank you so much. I hope you've learned a lot. Do we have a WhatsApp group for Kenya? Okay, I believe there is. Adeline, is there like a WhatsApp group for Kenya?
Yes, I'm sharing the link. A minute.
Okay. Yes. So otherwise, thank you so much and wish you a great weekend. So Adeline is sharing the WhatsApp group link. Okay, so
I've shared on chat.
yeah, okay. So please join the WhatsApp group. I can share the link also in the WhatsApp so that it won't be lost at the end. Wait, okay, I just shared it in the wrong group. Okay, anyways, I'll share the links also in the WhatsApp group so that anyone can get them once we're done with the session. So otherwise, thank you all and wish you a great weekend. We'll have another session also next weekend, so on Saturday. So hope to see you, most of the people who have attended. Bye and have a great weekend.
Bye and have a good one too.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Oh.